I spend most of my time on this channel looking at deep, complex space simulations, but every now and then a wave of games comes along that reminds me that space games can also be a really good time. Now I'm sure a lot of you know the type of thing I mean here. These games that allow you to get into the seat of your ships and shoot things or spend time managing a colony. Sometimes they can be a bit unusual too. Whatever the theme might be though, the point is you can sit down for an hour or two with these space games and have a ton of fun. What we've got right now then, quite a few of these titles arriving all at once, so I wanted to share them with you. Some of these are available right now, a few aren't too far away, but the key point here is some of these are the types of games you see me talk about all the time, but others are somewhat lighter. The key connection then between all of them is the idea of being fun. First up then, we've got B.L.U.E. Now this just came out of the USC Games Expo and it's already available on Steam, or it should be by the time you watch this. It's a multiplayer engineering combat sandbox where you build ships from modular parts and then take them into battle against the design of other ships. The physics are fully simulated, so mass, balance, thrust, durability, all of this actually matters. But here's the thing, your ship only works if you actually engineered it to work, and when it doesn't work, it fails in ways that are genuinely quite entertaining, or at least that is the claim. And I've got to say that visually, this one looks very nice indeed. Next up is StellarDrive, and this is one that I've been keeping an eye on for quite a while. It's being made by a solo developer called Curious Owl, and it's been building up a community over on itch.io for a couple of years now at this point. So the idea is that you start with nothing, you mine resources, and you build a spaceship panel by panel. But here's the thing, you wire every component yourself. Signal cables for thrusters and gyroscopes, fluid pipelines for fuel, power cables for the warp drive, you get the picture. The ship then flies because you've connected everything up properly. You can play this co-op, where one person pilots and another walks around the ship. It's heading to Steam, and the community around the game, at least based on what they've been saying, seems to feel this one could be pretty special. Now, Galactic Disharmony is a bit of an interesting one to me. This is a solo developer project, and the dev has been building this for about 5 years. It's a space game with spaceships or some sort of craft available, but it's also an FPS and strategy hybrid. And that means you've got a turn-based galactic map where you can command fleets of ships, you can build troops and manage resources. And then, when it's time to fight for a planet, you drop into first person and do the fighting yourself. You can find infantry, tanks, jets, the lot. The Steam version should be coming with a finished campaign, 3 factions, and a built-in level editor with Steam Workshop support. Now honestly here, for one person to build something like this that crosses a variety of different genres, this is genuinely an ambitious title. Hopefully it delivers on the promises. Rupture is a game you've heard the story of many times before. It's the same old story, Earth is gone, but this time you're the AI and you're commanding humanity's large ship and you're on a revenge mission toward the alien homeworld that will look to have caused all the trouble. Humans are your primary resource, of course, because you can produce them, you can spend them, and yes, you can recycle them. Sounds like a lot of fun, and hopefully not the future that AI is leading us toward. Now, this is a base management tower defense roguelite, and there's obviously a bit of a dark comedy angle towards all of this because, you either go super serious with humans as a resource, don't you, or you go down the comedy route. Aliens can come through here, they breach through the hull at predetermined points, so you always know where the next attack is going to come from. The strategy though is in how you prepare for that. There is a playtest that's available on Steam right now, so this one should be pretty interesting to look at. Now, Punk is an open world bullet hell roguelike, and years ago I used to be heavily into these types of games, and when I see some of these, they've got quite a bit of nostalgia for me because they go back quite a few years at this point, but also they can be very enticing. They make me just want to pick up that controller again. So here, you're a tiny spaceship on a hostile alien planet. You're fighting your way through different biomes, mining resources, and upgrading your ship module by module on a grid. The combat looks to be intense, the world itself seems to be mysterious, and there's a real sense of being small, trying to survive somewhere that really does seem to want you dead. The game is not a solo developer this time, instead it's made by 2 developers and it's got a playtest running right now over on Steam, so if you're quick you might be able to jump in and give this one a try right now. Next up, we have Down with the Ship, and this one is launching into early access, I do believe, on May 15th, which at this point, as of this recording, is tomorrow, but that will depend on when you watch this video. At any rate, this is a spaceship auto-battler, and I fully realise that this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you know, there's a lot of different space games out there, as I said at the start of this video, and some of them are going to be definitely interesting to people. Others might be worth checking out if you've never tried the genre before, because you never know what you might actually find interesting. So here you get parts from a shop, and these can be guns, shields, reactors, hull pieces, and you snap them together to make up a ship. The hull pieces kind of act like puzzle parts, so the shape of these really do matter, or the shape of your ship kind of matters, because you need to fit these together in a way that they actually do manage to fit. So that means where you place things affects what synergizes with what, and then your creation goes up against other players' ships automatically. You watch all of this unfold, and then ultimately you have to find out whether your ridiculous, crazy design actually worked. There's quite a few different things to choose from, which includes 12 captains and over 200 items. You can also move across factions to mix pirate plunder and alien biotech as well if you really want to, especially if you're into dark humour. Now, you may or may not be aware that I'm 50 years old at this point. I've been around quite a long time. Picked up my first computer when I was 7. It was on a Spectrum of 48K plus. That would have been around about, 1983, 1984, something like that. A few years later, I started going to the arcades and getting into all types of games, and one of the early space games I play, and I guess we could class it as a space game because you're flying a spaceship, was R-Type. It's nice to see then that over the years R-Type has come and gone, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the ill, but what we're seeing now is a new R-Type game. This one is R-Type Dimensions 3. It launches on 19th of May, and for anyone like me who grew up with the original R-Types back then in the arcade and on the 8-bit and then 16-bit era, this is a big deal indeed. This one is actually a remake of R-Type 3 that you would have been able to play on the SNES back in the day. In fact, it's a complete remake. Every stage, every boss, every projectile pattern has been rebuilt into modern graphics. You can also toggle between the old style visuals and the new visuals, which means you can play the game in the classic pixel art form if you really want to, and that, for me at least, never gets old. This is coming to Steam. It's also going to be available on PlayStation, Xbox, as well as both versions of the Switch. There's also an infinite mode for anyone who wants to kind of play the game without all the original difficulty, and yeah, that's a smart inclusion, but I really do enjoy the challenge of these types of games. Really looking forward to this one. Now, Orbitals is very different because I was in two minds as to whether to include this one on the list. I know a lot of you are probably going to not kind of like this type of game, but nonetheless, this is a video about fun space games and unusual space games, and you can see straight away that is exactly what this is. Now, the visual style is very interesting, let's put it that way, and I think we could say it's gorgeous if you're looking at it from a certain type of view. It's inspired by early 90s anime with hand-drawn cutscenes, and you play here as two rookie explorers trying to save their space station from a cosmetic storm. The co-op is asymmetrical, and that means that each player has different tools and a different role. Yes, one uses a beam cannon, the other uses a scrap hook, and you have to communicate constantly to solve puzzles and survive the various different levels. So yeah, a very different kind of space game, but you know, I do think this one could be quite a lot of fun, especially if you have someone to play it with. And then finally we come to Space Haven. Now, I've left this one till the end, largely because this one does have a bit more depth to it than most of the other games we've spoken about, but also I do feel this one is going to be very interesting indeed. So, Space Haven just hit version 1.0, and that's after 10 years of development. Yes, 10 years. It's made by a 3-person team over in Finland. It's a colony sim set on a spaceship, so kind of think RimWorld in space, I guess here, with a tile-based gas system that's inspired by oxygen not included. Now, you build your ship tile by tile, you manage oxygen and temperature, you look after your crew, and you try to find a new home for humanity in a procedurally generated galaxy. So far, the game has apparently sold 700,000 copies during the early access period. I'm kind of surprised by that. It's a huge number of games for huge number of copies for a game like this, but you know, really good on them. I'm kind of pleased to see this. Now, the full release does add Steam Workshop support as well, which means there's modding capacity here, and for a game that's been built by 3 people over an entire decade, reaching version 1.0 is a serious milestone for everyone. So from everything I've seen, this has certainly been worth the wait, and this is one of the games that I'll be taking a closer look at over the coming weeks. Do keep an eye out for that. So there we go then, a whole selection of games that should be pretty fun to play. All of them arriving more or less together, some a little bit further out but not too far. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. There is another one on the screen right here. Do watch that. Otherwise, take care and I'll catch you next time.